Hello and welcome back to day 8 of the Talk Hockey Radio Daily World Cup podcast. I am joined by Interm Taff today, and we're going to talk through all 8 games. So, starting off, we had New Zealand taking on Wales. This was a fierce battle with both sides pressing hard to start off with. Wales opening the scoring in the first quarter, New Zealand striking back from a penalty corner, only for Wales to hit them again from the restart to retake the lead. Only for New Zealand to follow suit and hit Wales straight from the restart, winning another penalty corner and converting to take a 2-2 draw into half-time. The second half was almost entirely New Zealand, who piled on the pressure and scored 3 in quarter 3 and then another 2 in the final quarter, taking the game 7-2. And honestly, that second half performance from New Zealand was a complete change from the first half that had been so even. The way that they stepped it up and caught Wales almost flat in the second half was astounding, to be honest. Did you manage to watch much of this game, Taff?
Yeah, I watched it all, to be honest, right from the word go. Like you said, quite like a two sides of the same coin kind of thing in terms of the first and second half. It was crazy that Wales were up on New Zealand, even though you'd think that New Zealand would actually be such a a better team than them, but it didn't seem like that in the first 2 quarters, not at all. And also, I mean, there was a lot of pressure from a lot of the New Zealand guys in the D as well, but they had a lot of chances and they completely missed every single one of them. A couple of balls going right for past the goal mouth, and the players not even connecting to them. Shots on goal as well, where Wales basically just defended really well and got it out of their D as well in the first half. Second half was pretty much similar, but obviously we saw a couple of goals in that with New Zealand coming back first, like you said, to draw, and then Wales pretty much 30 seconds later scoring again.
Yeah, so 30 seconds from New Zealand equalising to Wales retaking the lead, and then I think it's 2 minutes from Wales taking the lead to New Zealand equalising again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so obviously we finished like 2-2 in the first half. And like you said, and I think we've said this and you've said this in previous podcasts, it's like, the magic halftime talk that some of these teams get, especially when they're not performing to the best that we've seen them perform, and then coming out gung-ho and just basically outplaying the opposition. Like what we were talking about, was it a chat GPT halftime talk or something like that? Yeah, it could be whatever chat GPT is telling them to do is working really well for them. Like I said, two sides of the same coin. New Zealand absolutely dominating, not even giving Wales that much opportunity to actually get inside the D or even in their 23. A lot of pressure. Wales didn't give up though. Wales did not give up, and they kept going. Even I think even for the last quarter as well. Even when they were, 6 or 7 down. Sorry, 5 or 6 down anyway. So yeah, a good performance by them in general, but they were just outplayed by New Zealand in the second half.
Yeah. Nice to see Kane Russell getting a goal. He seems to have been struggling through the tournament so far, but absolute rocket of a flick today. Okay, on to the second game, which saw Ireland taking on Scotland in the women's competition. I think a fairly even start to the game for the first quarter, but it was Scotland who took the lead 6 minutes in from a penalty corner. In the second quarter, Scotland kind of took over, having the majority of the pressure and more chances. But against the run of play, it was Ireland who actually found the back of the net. Yeah, it was Ireland who found the next goal. Battling through and pouncing on a ball in the circle off a save to level things up at 1-1. Scotland continued to press after the half-time break, and Watson received the ball in the circle and an incredible first touch, taking her away from the defender, making the space for the shot, and then she absolutely fired it into the roof of the goal to take the game 2-1. I assume you were tuned in for this one, Taff.
Yeah, I watched this one. Again, as you say, first quarter was quite evenly matched, but Scotland obviously came out on top with a goal at around about 9 minutes, 9.5 minutes, or something, which was, I think, is a PC and a deflection in. Pretty good. I think as a PC injection out to the top to the castle, and then I think it was a play to the right side of the runners, and then a little bit of a deflections into goal. Really good. And something different. I don't think I've seen Scotland do that one before. Maybe they did, and I have not noticed it. But that was a really good penalty corner routine, which obviously took them forward and got them a head start. Ireland coming back in the second half with about 4 or 5 minutes to go for the quarter in open play. And in the third quarter, obviously, again, about 12 and a half minutes or 11 and a half minutes to go, Watson scoring for Scotland to give them 2-1 lead. And the fourth quarter, it wasn't as energetic, should I say. There was a lot of, to and fro in, lots of turnovers happening. But I think there was a couple of a good few chances on goal for both sides, but nothing came off, unfortunately. I think Ireland still did put on the pressure on Scotland in the last quarter as well, but nothing was paying off for them at all.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that the first quarter was fairly even, but that's kind of underselling how strongly Scotland started.
Yeah.
First 5 minutes was all Scotland, and then they sort of leveled up through the rest of the quarter with Ireland getting more pressure. But just looking at the stats for this game, and Scotland had 6 penalty corners before their goal, which was in the 5th, 6th minute of the game.
Oh, right. Okay. Did not.
Yeah. So, yeah, they really started strong. And then Ireland chased back into the quarter after the goal. But yeah, let's talk about that third, the second Scottish goal. The ball across, I wouldn't say was a bad ball, but it's not like it was pinpoint accurate to her stick. It was fired into the penalty spot, I think, by Sarah Robertson.
Yeah, I think it might be.
And Watson posted back past the defender, picked the ball up, took it into the space, made the room, adjusted her feet, and then, like I say, absolutely mullered the ball straight into the roof of the goal. I think it was past the goalkeeper by the time she got her hands up.
It was a rocket. It was definitely a rocket. Yeah, it was definitely a rocket for sure.
But I think that puts Scotland second in the lower table on their half. So above Ireland on maybe on goal difference or on result. I'm not quite sure how they differentiate teams on the same points at this point in the tournament, because I'm not sure what goal differences carry over, if it's just the game, or it all gets a bit complicated with this 2 group stage thing. But
I don't think anyone understands it, do they, really? But yeah, you're right. I think it does count on goal difference. So even if they're on same points, Scotland might be just above Ireland.
They're both on 0 goal difference. So
oh, is it? Okay.
On result.
Okay, well, there you go
then. But yeah, so 1 game left to play puts them in with a good chance of finishing top of their group. So yeah, still a lot to play for all 4 of them. But we shall progress on to the next game, which I don't think you had a chance to see.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't know.
It was a belter of a game. So it was Pakistan taking on Japan in the men's competition. So Japan came flying out, pushing Pakistan back and piling on the pressure. They were able to capitalize, striking from a penalty corner to take the lead, and then doubling that lead in the first quarter after the ball broke to a Pakistan defender who tried to clear it through top D. and the Japanese player picked it on his reverse and then set his feet and tomahawked it back into the bottom corner of the goal. Just a minute of defensive brain fog or something. I'm not quite sure why he was trying to clear it through top D when there was two Japanese players. It was the first man who picked it, and like I say, he just set himself and hit the tomahawk. It was quite an odd decision to make as a defender. But halfway through quarter two, Pakistan sort of fired back up. They got a goal back, pouncing on a ball that broke loose, played across, and the attacker got a good connection on it to tap it into the bottom corner. And then they really started firing the second half. I think they came out and leveled the game up after a couple of minutes of the second half. Let me just pull up the stats for the game.
Yeah, it looks like it was only about a minute. No.
Yeah, literally about a minute and a half into the second half, leveled the game up. About a minute after that, they took the lead. Pakistan went down the other end a couple of minutes later and got it back to 3-3, only for Pakistan to turn around and make it 4-3. It was an absolutely hectic third quarter. Like I say, going into the halftime break at 2-1, within 2 minutes of the restart, Pakistan were up 3-2. Then Japan leveled it up. Then Pakistan went 4-3 up before the end of the quarter. And then I think both sides just kept trying to attack and not really making a solid chance through the final quarter. But it was an electric third quarter where everything suddenly started firing, and it was end-to-end hockey, and it was a really good watch.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed that I missed that, but I'll try and see if I can catch it up and see how that went. But yeah, it was one of the games that I wanted to watch, but unfortunately didn't have the time to do that.
Yeah, I recommend going and watching the highlights for it when they come out. 2 penalty corner goals for Japan. I think 1 penalty corner goal for Pakistan. The other 3 for them were open play. And like I've already talked about, the Japan goal from open play was a bit of defensive chaos. But yeah, really good game. Really exciting to watch. So yeah, go and give it a watch.
I will, definitely.
The fourth game of the day was USA versus New Zealand in the women's competition. On stats, this game is incredibly even, and watching it, I think that's probably the fairest reflection of the game. It was really quite an even game. Neither team really created like a huge number of chances compared to the other one. I think it's even like circle entries, shots taken, and everything. It's almost identical or within one. So it's like 4 shots against 4 shots, 9 circle entries against 8 circle entries, like that for the entire thing. I think it's 51 point something to 48 point something in terms of possession. A really even game. It did finish 1-1. So New Zealand opened the scoring, attacking down the left, fired the ball towards the goal. There was a diving touch from an attacker that took the ball past the goalkeeper, but not into the goal. And then I want to say Surridge. Anyway, the attacker rushed in. She was probably about 6 inches in front of the defender that was chasing back to get the final touch to tap it into the open goal. And then USA started building a bit more, creating a couple of chances. They eventually got the equalizer in quarter 3. A driving run across the top of the D. I think she beat 3 or 4 players as she carried the ball across, and then hitting the ball at near post. She had a teammate who waved a stick at it but didn't get a deflection. I think the keeper was waiting for the deflection, and then by the time she didn't touch it, was not in a position to make the save. And then New Zealand actually had a chance to win the game. They won, as I call them, extra time penalty corners right on the final whistle, but they weren't able to capitalize. It was run down really well and then cleared. But yeah, there wasn't a great number of chances in this game. It, like I said at the start, it was incredibly even. It was very much you attack, we attack. So yeah, so that's one you maybe can skip the highlights for.
Yeah, well, as you were saying that, I was thinking, do I really want to watch this game? Because there's not going to be much there. So not really anything exciting happening, even in the quarter that no goals were scored, as in, like, good shots on goal, and they're not just quite making it.
No, not even that, to be fair. There's like a couple of half chances, but none where you go, oh, they really should have scored that. I recommend watching the USA goal. It is a really good driving run across diagonally the D, and then shooting, like I say, at the near post, and the keeper's setting for a deflection that never comes.
Okay, yeah, I'll watch it. I'll watch it anyway. I'll watch the highlights. No worries. Maybe talk about it tomorrow, possibly.
Okay, so we're into the games from the upper pool. The first one, we had the Netherlands taking on India in the men's competition. Now, this was a fast-paced end-to-end game for the entire first half. Both teams creating chances, neither team being able to finish. So we went into the halftime break at 0-0. It was Netherlands who eventually opened the scoring. Tellenkamp pouncing on a mishit shot that was sort of bobbling around the penalty spot, firing home to give the Dutch the lead. They then got a second, an absolutely pinpoint ball across, found Hudemarker on a driving run, and he just deflected it in to give them the 2-0 lead. Harmanpreet gave his side a bit of a lifeline from a penalty corner, but the Dutch then added a third shortly after that. I think it's about 5 minutes left in the game. The Dutch have a breakaway. The ball is fed through to Thijs van Dam, who lifts the ball over the keeper as he comes sliding out, and then taps it from the air into the middle of the empty goal to seal the game 3-0 for the Netherlands. A good defensive performance from the Netherlands. They didn't give away too many penalty corners. They managed to run down the majority of the ones they did. I think it was only 5 or 6 penalty corners they gave away, and Harmanpreet only getting 1. Harmanpreet did spend a lot of time on the bench in this game. I don't know if he's picked up a knock or they're just trying to manage his minutes, but maybe they're trying to save him for the next game, which they were kind of thinking this is a game they're not going to win. But the Netherlands didn't win many penalty corners themselves. We know that India have a very strong defense, but they did absorb quite a lot up until the goal. And to be fair, up until the second goal, it could have still gone either way. So this one is worth a rewatch.
Okay. Well, I mean, just looking at the stats, they didn't get any, the Netherlands didn't get any penalty corners in the third and fourth quarters at all. It was mostly India that got penalty corners, and obviously didn't capitalize on that anyway. I mean, like I said, just from the stats, looking at the stats, that's what happened. Was it a good game? As in, did India perform really well? Did they need Harmanpreet in on the pitch more often than not on the pitch? Then, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think they would have liked to have him on the pitch a bit more than they did. I don't know exactly how many penalty corners he was off for, but I don't think he was on for more than half. And that's a big factor in their style of play, is winning penalty corners and counting on him to deliver. Our sixth game of the day was Belgium taking on Germany in the women's competition. Belgium running out 3-1 winners in this game. Belgium opened the scoring in the second quarter. Germany came out and were really fast breaking in the second half, getting the equaliser, I think, within the first minute and a half, 2 minutes after the restart. But then straight away after the goal, Belgium went down the other end, won a penalty corner, and retook the lead. It was then only a few minutes, I think, only a few minutes from the end of the quarter, where they got their third loose ball in D, picked up by Engelbert and just driven into the goal. They defended well all through the game, the Belgian team absorbing all of the pressure that Germany were trying to put on them and just stepping through and being a little bit more like the Belgium were expecting them to be in some of the earlier games. Won a load of penalty corners. I think they probably would be a little bit disappointed with their return rate from the game today, but Germany did defend well. But yeah, a good solid performance from Belgium, who I think have been a little bit disappointed with how they've been playing so far in the tournament. So good to see them stepping up as they progress through.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at the stats, Germany only having 3 penalty corners, and the only team to actually get cards as well in that game. And it looks like Belgium had 9 penalty corners. Didn't really capitalize on them except for one of them, it looks like. But yeah, obviously, like I said to you before off air, I didn't get to see this game, but it's a good performance. I think Belgium will be happy with that. Even though they didn't score many off the penalty corners that they got, and didn't convert them as well as they think they should have. Whatever, but yeah. Solid performance, do you reckon? I mean, you obviously watched it. Solid performance by them, but
yeah,
was it a good performance? Was it a good performance by Germany though, or were they lacking in certain areas?
Yeah, I think there was a difference in the class of the two teams. Germany obviously still within their rebuild. Belgium are a solid team, pretty consistent usually, and they started showing a bit of that class in the game today.
So good win for them anyway, so that's good.
Yeah. Right then, so that takes us into our second to last game of the day, which was England taking on Argentina. A fairly even start, both teams creating chances. I think Argentina, you would say in quarter one, had the slightly better quality of chances, even though they had probably around the same number. I think Argentina's were just slightly better. Argentina opened the scoring, capitalizing on all the pressure that they'd had in the second quarter, winning a penalty corner that Domine put away. England battled back into the game to try and find an equaliser in quarter three, but the better quality of chances again, I think, fell to Argentina. England only making half chances, whereas Argentina managed to make a solid chance for Domine to get his second, which he happily snapped up. England did get one back from a penalty corner of their own in the final quarter. They then continued to push out and try and chase the game. Argentina were then exploiting the gaps as England became stretched, meaning that England couldn't push forward. They had to keep the defence sitting a bit deeper, making sure that those gaps never got plugged. And then Argentina able to seal the result with about 2 minutes left, winning a penalty corner, and Domine completing his hat-trick to give his side the 3-1 win. I think we're both in agreement. It was a little bit disappointing from England today. I don't think the chances that they were creating were terrible, but I also think that they didn't really make the best decisions. There were certain times where there was an obvious pass, or people were just trying to overplay a little bit. And I just think that they could have pushed a little bit more than they did.
Yeah, I'm going to agree on that for sure. I did obviously watch this game. There was one incident where basically the umpire, there was a shot on goal, I think. Sorry, there was a foot of England's in the D. Fell to an Argentinian player. The Argentinian player got a shot off, and then the umpire basically blew the whistle and gave a short corner anyway. That was the only like thing that I was thinking. Oh, he's giving him the advantage, and then basically still gave him the penalty corner as well. For me, I don't know. I might not have. I mean, Keeler's not here to actually talk about this, but that just threw me off a little bit because I thought he'd actually give him the advantage and then, blew the whistle for PC. But yeah, we'll come to that. Maybe we can talk to Keely at some point and then see what she thought about it. But yeah, with regards to the whole game itself, I think England weren't at their best today. Like you were saying, a lot of the passes that they were making, they weren't quite the right passes. They were doing a little bit of transfers coming into the middle, but not actually completely transferring it to the other side. There was a lot of times where the ball came for a transfer. Maybe it could have been played, from left to right, okay, to open up the play a little bit. But it went straight back to the left and then down the line into contact, and then they got pressed by Argentina a lot, and that happened a couple of times, and vice versa on both sides. To be fair, there were a lot of the times where I thought that England could actually pass the ball to a player that was open, but then they chose to pass it to someone, and through contact, it got to them. It got to the players, even though they did do that. But the players then were under a lot of pressure to actually keep the ball and retain it, and then try and do something with it because they were still in contact. Whereas I thought, if they, let's say for instance, they were on the left hand side and they passed the ball into the left hand side and there was contact, but there would have been, and there was a lot of the time, a player who was free on the other side that they could have actually passed to, that could have actually made 25 yards, got into the 23 or even into the D to maybe make a shot on goal. And they did that a couple of times, which I didn't shout at the TV as such, but I was like so frustrated that they weren't making the right passes. I don't know whether they felt they needed to sometimes do something on their own, and there was a lot of that as well. Trying to go through contact, trying to beat two, 3 players without looking at maybe passing the ball on, or even passing the ball back. I mean, they did do that a lot as well, but not at the right time for me. If you get what I'm saying, they did it, but they should have done other things to make sure we can actually get the ball into the 23 and make an attacking sort of like phase in there. But I don't know whether you felt the same way. I think you did, but
Yeah, like I said, disappointing. Like if they'd have come out and played like they did against India, where they were making those passes, they were stick to stick, they were given with confidence, and they were being clinical in front of goal. Whereas today, I don't know if they were unsettled. I know Argentina ran the ragged edge of the physicality in the game. They did just as much as they could get away with, which might have unsettled England a little bit, but the passes just weren't as crisp. That, as you say, put them under a bit of pressure on the receive, and then when they were getting the ball in front of goal, they were not as clinical as they have been. So hopefully that's not going to come back to knock them out, but they've now given themselves a mountain to climb in that final game.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I mean, there were some moments of brilliance as well. Some overlap play that some of the players did, which were really good. And I'm thinking, yes, you can do something there. But then, like you say, they got into the D, and it just wasn't coming off for them. Whether they were trying too hard to score a goal or whatever. But Argentina did a really good job of defending their D and also their 23 as well. Applied a lot of pressure on England, and maybe that was the factor that made them lose that game, really, in terms of too much pressure on them. They were sometimes getting double teamed and triple teamed and whatever, but Argentina were running their socks off, to be honest with you, throughout the game, and I don't think they let up in any of the quarters.
No. Very limited outcomes as well for England.
Yeah.
They had a couple of penalty corners in the first quarter, and I think they had one just before halftime, and then the one they scored from. I don't think they had many at all. Okay, and into the final game of the day, which saw Argentina taking on Spain in the women's competition. Argentina exploded out of the gates at the start of this. They won a penalty corner within the first 30 seconds. I think it was just over 30 seconds to take the lead. They then doubled up shortly after that from a penalty corner. And then they got a third from a penalty corner right before the end of the first quarter. And that was really the game. They spent the rest of the game absorbing the Spanish pressure, not giving away many chances. And whenever they got the chance to break, they ran down the other end of the pitch. But again, at 3-0, they were kind of coasting. Spain didn't really threaten enough to look like they were going to get one back. And that just allowed Argentina, after the explosive start, to just ease through the rest of the game.
Yeah, what do you think of it overall? I mean, Spain got 4 penalty corners. Didn't capitalize on those. Argentina with 3 as well, capitalizing on was it 2 or 1 of them?
So they scored 2 penalty corners, Argentina. So they had 3. They had 2 in the first quarter. They scored both, and then they had 1 really late on. I think it was last few minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Spain, I think, got 1 penalty corner per quarter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, just absorbed 90% of the pressure.
So, good performance by obviously a good performance by Argentina anyway. But with regards to Spain, what do you think? Was it a performance that we expected, or was it something that, let's say, they didn't look like they were the right, they were the team that we've seen before?
I think Argentina were just asking questions of Spain that they had no answer for. Like, they hit them really hard from the beginning of the game and gave them nothing in that first quarter, really. They were all over them, and the Spanish had no answer for that. And whenever they threatened to create something, Argentina just stepped up the tempo again, and suddenly they were struggling to find space. They were trying to shift the ball around, but there was no forward pass on, so they were just constantly forcing them away from the goal. And you can do that at 3-0. You can let them get high up the pitch and then turn the screws and force them back out and make them rebuild and make them use their energy, and you can just sit deep and absorb. But like I say, that explosive start, Spain just had no answer for it. As I say, 30-ish seconds into the game, going straight down the other end from the restart, winning a penalty stroke and giving yourself a 1-0 lead. You can't ask for a better start to a game than that. And to then follow it up a couple of minutes later with a penalty corner. They ran a variation, you'll be happy to hear. It wasn't just a straight flick, but worked the ball around, fired it in. So it was a real 1-2 punch of the first 3-4 minutes, taking a 2 lead, and then Gorzolini stepping up to get her second from the other penalty corner right before the end of Q1.
Well, look, you've got to give it to Argentina coming out like guns blazing and stuff, and then giving Spain a really hard time. I think that first penalty stroke goal, and the goal from that, and then obviously a PCN goal from that would have actually put them off guard, really, and put them on the back foot all the way through the game, to be fair. And especially having 3 goals in that first quarter and then pretty much nothing. Just thinking about it, did Spain or pile on the pressure in the other 3 quarters, or was it not enough and they were still on the back foot?
Not really enough. It was more that they pushed high up the pitch and then were chased away from goal. Like, they weren't creating definitive clear-cut chances. They were making maybe half chances, but the majority of the pressure was just being absorbed by Argentina and then just forcing them back away from goal. And that like I say, that was kind of it. There was no kind of rebound of Spain desperately trying and throwing everything they tried, Argentina just seemed to have an answer for.
It's a shame. I do like Spain. They're a good bunch of girls and stuff and things. So the next game, they really need to, up their game a little bit, obviously, and get something from it.
Yeah. So looking at the standings, Argentina are through in the women's section. Belgium sit on 4, Spain sit on 1, and Germany are out. They've got no chance of advancing to the semi-finals. Spain need to not only win, but I think they need to win by a good number of goals, and they need to hope that Belgium don't pick up any points.
Yeah, so who they got next? Germany, is it? Is that right? But I've got that wrong. That's Spain, that is.
Spain have got Germany left to play, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be another tough game, no? But looking at what's just how Germany have actually played in the last game, do you think they've got a chance?
I mean, they've definitely got a chance, but it's very much dependent on how Belgium and Argentina play out, because Spain need like a 5-goal swing in their favour for goal difference.
That's a lot to ask, I think. But it can be done, but depends on how Germany play. If Spain outplay them, then they've got a chance. If they don't outplay them, then Germany's going to obviously hold them off anyway. And they're going to know this as well, aren't they?
Yeah. And then switching over to the men's side of things. So the Netherlands are through to the semi-finals on 6 points. England and Argentina both sit on 3, and India sit on 0. So again, this is a really open group. There's only the Netherlands who are qualified. In theory, any of the other 3 can go through. England play the Netherlands. India play Argentina. India are going to need a good goal swing to get it on goal difference, because they're currently -4. England and Argentina are both on 0 goal difference, but it then goes, as we think, to the result between the 2. So England need to maintain that 0 goal difference. Obviously, India need to win. That'll put Argentina into the negatives, and England need something against the Netherlands to guarantee going through. But if Argentina win, England need to match their result, and then they have to hope that their goal difference is better. So it's a real fight in that one for second place between all 3 other teams in the group.
So to be honest with you, well, in that sense, England has to win, do they? And then they may have a chance, and they've got to win by a good few goals, right?
England have to better Argentina's result. If Argentina win 1-0, England have got to win 2-0 to go through on goal difference, because they can't let it go to the result because they've just lost. If India win, then England just need a point. If India win and England lose, that will put all 3 of them on 3 points, and then it gets real mathy.
We don't want that to happen, do we?
So if India win, Argentina will be out because they will be on a lower goal difference. But if England also lose, then they'll be on a negative goal difference as well. India are currently -4, so they need to score 4 to get level. But obviously, if they score 2, they go to -2. Argentina go to -2. If England lose 2-0, can we have a 3-way shootout? What happens then? I don't know.
A lot of creative maths then to see who's going to go through, apparently. Or probably, should I say.
Yeah, so I think that round of games on Monday for this group, there's going to be a lot of math going on to work out who goes through, what result is needed by who. But the long and short of it is Argentina and England are both on 3. If England want any chance of going through, they have to better Argentina's result. If Argentina lose, they just need a draw. If Argentina win, they need a win, and they need to win by more goals.
Yeah. Okay. That's going to be exciting, I think. And, whatever happens, obviously we're rooting for England to actually get through anyway. But hopefully, they will have worked out the maths and stuff better than us. And well, not better than us, better than me, because you've obviously got it in hand anyway. But yeah, I think we're hoping it's going to be a little bit easier for England, and they only need to either draw or win. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens on Monday. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and then the games tomorrow. So in the other winners group, we have Australia on 4, Spain on 3, Germany on 3, and Belgium on 1. All 4 of those can technically still qualify, I believe. So if Belgium win their game, they will go on to 4 points. It then becomes about goal difference between them and Australia. Australia are currently +1, Belgium are -1. Spain and Germany, again, can both go through depending on results. They're both sat on 0. If they draw, it makes it a bit boring, I think. If they draw either of them, they will go through, but it's all kind of up in the air. Trying to remember the games that we've got. Is it Spain, Belgium, and Australia, Germany? Is that the way around it is? I think it is.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, so if Spain and Australia draw, Australia go through, but Spain is still possible to be knocked out because if Belgium win, they would go to 4, then go to goal difference. But yeah, absolute chaos.
Well, you say chaos, and I think exciting, because if any one of them can actually do what they need to do to actually go through, it's going to be an exciting game for all the games that get played, isn't it? Really, because they've obviously all thinking they've got a chance, so they're going to come out and they're going to basically do what they need to do to win, and that might actually be 2 of the better games that we can watch.
Yeah. And then in the women's side, for tomorrow, Netherlands are through on 6 points. We have China on 2, Australia and India both on 1. If I'm remembering right, it's China taking on the Netherlands and Australia taking on India tomorrow. So if Australia and India doesn't finish in a draw, then China is out if they lose. So again, any one of those 3 can go through. China playing the Netherlands, it's obviously going to be a tough game for both of them, but Netherlands can play it with a little bit more of a carefree attitude because they're already through. I don't think that'll have a huge difference because they can't be caught. They're going through in top position. But yeah, if China lose and Australia and India draw, then again we get a bit mathy because they'll end up on 2 points. I think in that situation China would go through because I think they're on 0 goal difference, and the other 2 are on minus goal differences.
Yeah, they are both of -2.
Yeah,
Australia and India. So, I mean, for me, we were talking about this before a couple of days ago in terms of who we'd like to go through, and I think it's going to be a tough game for China against Netherlands. But if they can come out with some sort of result there, whether it's a draw or whether it's a win, okay, they're capable. The way they've been playing in this tournament and showing what they've got, they could do it. If they hold off Netherlands to a draw, they get 3 points, right? And if the other 2, Australia and India, basically draw, then China will go through just by 1 point, won't they?
Yeah, they would. If both games finish in a draw, China would go through on 3.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you think China can do it?
I don't know. China have not really been firing, but I've just gone and quickly checked the schedule for tomorrow, and the Netherlands-China game is before the Australia-India game. So Australia and India will know whether or not they need to win to go through. So that could be a really feisty game.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if they know that either one of them winning is going to get them through, they're going to come out guns blazing, aren't they? That's going to be an exciting game to watch for sure. Especially looking at what the results are going to be for Netherlands and China. Now, even if they draw, they're going to basically try and see whether they can win. But if China wins, and it's a possibility, they can't catch them, whatever happens, whether they win or not, really. Well, if they don't win, then they don't catch them anyway. But do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, China could create an upset and actually win and get 3 points.
I think that's a bit of a long shot, if I'm honest.
Well, there's always hope. And, you know, I do like China because they've come a long way. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're very fit, aren't they? So they could sort of like just keep applying the pressure and maybe get something from it. We have actually seen a lot of, you know, games where we're thinking that one team's going to win and they haven't because they haven't played quite that well. If Netherlands don't come out guns blazing, it could be like you're saying. If they're thinking, "Oh, we've already got through, so it doesn't matter whether we win or not," they'll obviously want to win, okay, and get another 3 points. But if they don't, if they have a laissez-faire sort of like attitude, China might take advantage of that and basically, you know, pip a couple of goals past them and maybe win.
Still think it's a long shot.
Probably is. But I'm just hoping because like I said, I do like China. So I'm gonna root for the underdog here, in that sense, in that game anyway. But like I said, if it comes to a draw and they get 1 point, it's going to be one of those things where, you know, Australia and India are going to think, right, well, we both, you know, one of us got to win. India's going to want to win. Australia's going to want to win. So who knows? I'm predicting a draw or a win.
And with that, we've reached the end of the day. We've reached the end of the episode. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.